Hey everyone, it's Jake and Jake's Metal Chat. Hope you're all well, and welcome to episode 67 of my Metal Vault, where I will be exploring and showing you my favorite albums within heavy metal to thrash metal to death metal, black metal, doom metal, sludge metal, folk metal, you name it, all of that excellent stuff. As well as talking about the albums, I will also be talking about the bands, so a brief history and any releases leading up to the album that I have picked. Haven't done a Metal Vault episode in a while because obviously I've been busy and I had to, if you've noticed on my channel, I had to re-upload my chat with John because at the end of this video, I usually have obviously the thanks for watching, and then at the end of this series, my Metal Vault, and I accidentally, well, I forgot to delete it from the chat, so I had to re-upload the chat completely again. So it was on there. So I will be uploading this on the Wednesday, which is when you'll be seeing this video. So apologies for that. And without further ado, let's crack on with this episode. And here is a band classed as what? Because here on Metallic, and I can definitely hear both of these influences in it, both of these sounds. Death is melodic death metal and power metal. Melodic death power metal, and there's quite a few bands that mix those two genres together, and this is just one of many. And I got into these guys uh, sometime around 2008, and I've got to see them in 2010 at Bloodstock and other times after that. And if you've seen them live, you know how great the live shows were, and also if you got their albums and heard their albums, you know how great they are as well. And the band that I'm talking about is Children of Bodom. And the amount of albums that they have here. So how many did they release before they split up? So we 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They released 10 albums before they split up, which I will be getting into once I start chatting about the band and also the album. But to start with, here they are again, Children of Bodom, and this is their third album from the year 2000. Follow the Reaper. Very, very blue cover right there. And a cool image of the Grim Reaper himself. And the songs on the back, it's a re-release because it has bonus tracks there as well as a video. And of course, we have the CD here with another Reaper down the bottom from the one that you would see on the front cover. And of course, got to show the booklet without the light reflecting off the case. And the picture of the band there. There's one right there as well. As well as all the writing here. This cool little image here, which is one of their singles, which I'll be talking about in a bit. Shows some. Oh, I've got the song titles here with a lot of with the lake right there, which is I think a really cool image right there. Love nature, love that. Just love nature shots like this. More of the same there with some lyrics. And of course, one more band picture right here with the logo right down the bottom there. I think that might be the only band picture. Nope, there's one right here. As well as who plays in the band and who did what in the band in terms of recording, mixing, mastering, engineering. So, and I'll be talking about all them once I get to the album. So let's talk about first the band Children of Bodom. They are, of course, a melodic death power metal band. They formed in the year of 1993 under the name Unearthed, and they only released 3 demos under that name. So, first one from 94, the other one from 95, and then the other one from 96. And then they did a fake split up and then changed their name to Children of Bodom just before releasing their debut album. Now, before I get on to the all the releases leading up to this album here, a lot of you know where the name came from, but for those that don't, it came from a murder case, one of the biggest crimes to happen in Finnish history, which was the Lake Bodom case. So here's like children of Bodom acquired their name from an infamous unsolved murder that took place in Finland at Lake Bodom in 1960. Four teenagers camping by the lake were brutally attacked in their tent by an unknown assailant. Three of them died, but one survived. And hence why they have the name of Children of Bodom, because the case happened in Finland. These guys are Finnish. And yeah, it's one of the biggest unsolved crimes that happen in that country. And of course, metal, horror, true crime, it all seems to overlap in some way, shape, or form. But there you go, because one of the lyrical themes is actually Lake Bodom when you look on Metallum on the Metal Archives. So you can see the crossover there. Now let's get on to the first release here, The Carpenter, which was a split with obviously Children of Bodom and two unfinished bands, one of which still going to this day, called Thy Serpent, which the frontman Alexei, of course, of the Children of Bodom, was in from 97 to 98. And of course, symphonic metal legends Nightwish. And they all had one track each, and this was released on the record label they were on for until up until what to say, up until which one? I think up until the very last album, I want to say. No, up until they released their 2013 album, Halo of Blood. So by the time that album came out, they were already on Nuclear Blast Records, but most of their releases were on Spine Farm Records. Of course, the next one is their debut from 1997, released on the 16th of November 1997, Something Wild. And, get the very first full length in the late 90s there. And then carrying on through the late 90s, they have another split with Wizard and Cry Havoc. Wizard ain't going anymore, but they're black. They were a black and heavy metal band, and the other one, Cry Havoc, was melodic death heavy metal. And this was released in 1998 on Spine Farm Records. And then we got onto their second album, Hate Breeder, released on the 26th of April 1999. And then they have a live album called Tokyo Warhots, which was released 11th of October 1999. So it's 25 years old now, because that date has since been and gone. And then their single Downfall, which had a cover from a band called Stone, who I never heard of, but that was their first single. And then the second single to come out in 2000, because the first single, what was it? Downfall came out in 1999. The second single, which you would have saw this image of a rough sketch of the Grim Reaper, and it says Hate Me, that was a second single. And they had another cover, but this time one by Wasp. Another legendary band right there. And then we get on to the album that I have picked for this episode. Follow the Reaper, which came out on the 30th of October 2000. So once it gets that date, this album will be 24 years old. 24 years of melodic death power metal with some very technical melodic sounding guitars and the bass, and just fast paced drumming, very cool melodic keyboards and some excellent vocals by Alexia, of course, who passed away in 2020, in 2020. Because after the Children of Bodom split up, because they were that band from 1997 to 2019, he formed Bodom after midnight in 2020, and they released their first release in 2021, so after his death. And like I said, he was in the band Die Serpent, and he was also in another Finnish band. And there's a lot of black death metal bands from Finland, a lot of black metal bands, death metal bands, and the one that he was in was, and he only did the one album called Nihil, which was by Impaled Nazarene. So he was in that band, and I did find footage years ago where it was Children of Bodom and then Impaled Nazarene right after them. Don't know if it's still up there. I haven't had a look in a while, so I might have a look a bit later after I've done this video. So, who are the members that were in the band with him? So we have Janis Warman, who was the where is he? Keyboards and vocals, backing vocals from 97 to 2019. And obviously has a band called War Men, which of course is his solo project. It started out as a solo project, but now it's a full-fledged band. And he's still currently doing stuff now. He did a lot of the engineering for the last few albums. So from Blood Drunk up until Hexed. And then did recording for the acoustic and folk instruments and female vocals for the Ensiferum album Iron, as well as the War Men stuff. Then we have Alexander on rhythm guitar. He has a band called Thy Rago. I think it's Rago. I think that's how it's pronounced. Obviously, he was in Earthed, was on the demo Shining. Didn't name all the other demos, all that. Did something called Spiritus Mortis. Did live guitars for them in 2022, as well as guest stuff for Conquest, Still Death, and Norther. And hasn't done any other music stuff beyond that, with like doing like guest stuff for other bands. And then we have Heikka, and I hope I said that right, who was the bass player and backing vocalist from 97 to 2019 for Children of Bodom, as well as in Earth, like pre-Bodom, and another band as well from 93 to 95. Did music stuff for a chapter called Children of Bodom, the final show in Helsinki Ice Hall 2019, and hasn't done any more music stuff after that. And then we have Yanka, and I hope I said that right as well, who was the drummer and has a band now, not on the archives, so I can't check them out here, called Mercury Circle. Of course, in the band from 97 to 2019, of course, in Earthed, drummer from 93 to 97, also keyboards from 93 to 95. Live stuff for only one band called Synergy, I think that's how it's pronounced. Guests are for Eve Master and Core Dust, as well as produced their debut album. And of course, the chapter called Children of Bodom, the final show in Helsinki Ice Hall 2019, and hasn't done anything else since. But he is the younger brother of Jannes, I think that's how it's pronounced. Jussi. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but he's no longer doing music stuff himself. But he was in 4 bands before he stopped playing music, and he did guest for another band. And then they also have another brother who is still in a band called Kuna. I think that's how I pronounce it. It's a melodic death metal band that formed in 2005. And then we get to who, so that's all the members. So now we get to who did what for the band in terms of mixing, mastering, producing, and there's a lot. So we have photographer JS. Not gonna try to say his last name, but yeah, he did the assistant photography for the album. I do a lot of this because, like I said, I talk about the albums as well. So Peter Tangren, now we all know who that man is. Hypocrisy, Pain, was in Bloodbath because he did vocals for Nightmares Made Flesh. He was in Lockup from 98 to 2002. He was on that album Pleasures Pave Sewers, as well as a compilation, The Abyss, War, two other bands that like uh four bands that are not on Metallica, one of which was one that he did with the vocalist from Rammstein and the man. Maverick Creation, he did guitars for, and yes, that is the very same Maverick Creation because I don't think there was another Maverick band with the same name ever. I think that was the only band with him anyway. And he was also did guitars and backing vocals for um Moloch from 96 to 97. And also guest stuff for Celtic Frost for their last album, Monotheist. Cracking album, you haven't heard it. Destruction, De La Morte, Edge of Sanity, Dan Swano's band. Exodus, Immortal, Cataclysm, Lockup, because he was in the band, so he continued to do work for him long after he left. Because the guy's always doing work. This is the guest stuff, guest vocals. Um, who else will people know on there? Ferian, Tiamat. So that's guest stuff. But he also does a lot of producing, engineering, mixing, mastering, all sorts. Well, yeah, mainly mixing, engineering, and producing. So he's done a lot of stuff for the likes of Amon Amarth. So their first album, which I believe is the one that I'm looking up at the moment. Yeah, Once Sent from the Golden Hall in 1998, as well as Amorphous, Belphegor, Barakna. I think that's how it's pronounced. I think I just said that wrong. Candlemas, Caliph Angren, Celtic Frost, obviously Monotheist because he did guest stuff on Monotheist, as well as mixing, producing, and recording and engineering, and did the hit single Syntanex or Swedish death metal legends. Who else? Of course, Children of Bodom, this album, as well as Blood Drunk and Halo of Blood. Dark Funeral, De La Morte, Destruction, Demu Borgare, Discharge, Edge of Sanity, which is the one he did guest vocals on called Inferior, Enslaved and Enthroned, who I have seen live and they're great. Facebreaker, Final Breath, Flesh Crawl, great, awesome German death metal. Golgoroth, Grave, his own band, Hypocrisy, pretty much everything that he's been on. Immortal, Campfire, great Norwegian black metal right there. Legion of the Damned, Lockup, Marduk, Loud Blast. Who else? Uh, Old Man's Child, Overkill, his other band, Pain, Possessed. Their last album from 2019, cracking album. You haven't heard. Revelations of Oblivion, Rotting Christ, Sabaton, because he's done guest stuff on one of their albums, which I'm trying to remember which one it was now. Quite a few, I can't really picture at the moment. The Abyss, Therion, who else? And that's all the bands I know there that he's done stuff for. Yeah, another one I know called Wolf. Lars did, who was the drummer from 92 to 2004 for Hypocrisy, did obviously, did the engineering for Amon Amarth's The Crusher, Follow Reaper engineering assistant, who's the assistant engineer on Follow the Reaper, and did technician for one of Dark Funeral's albums, as well as produced uh, a few Hypocrisy releases, as well as the same one that Peter Tangerine was also doing stuff for Rotten Christ out 2000 album, as well as Immortal. I just saw on the list there. Uh, Maku, I think that's how Maiku. I hope I said that right. Who did guest stuff for Sanuna Arctica? Another great band right there, and I do believe are Finnish power metal and great power metal at its best. I'm not the biggest power metal fan, by the way, but there are a few bands that I do like. In terms of music stuff, Avantasia, Apocalyptica, who I saw very recently. I'm not going to go on too long. Battle Beast, of course, Children of Bodom, as well as Demigod, Ed Guy. Who else will people know on here? Of course, I mentioned Pal Nazarene earlier. Kalma, another band that also is melodic death power metal. Lordi, another Finnish band right there. Nightwish, I mentioned them earlier. Norther, I mentioned them earlier. And countless other bands. Swallow the Sun, I just saw right there. And as for others, we have Sammy, who did graphic design, Micah, who did mastering, and Tony, who did the photography. But let's look at Sam, what he's done as well, music stuff wise. The Black League, which I never heard of this band. I don't know what sort of stuff they are. Gothic heavy metal rock. And a band called Ra. Micah did the mastering. What has this has done? If this page will load, because I don't want this video to go on any longer than normal. Sometimes I keep thinking I'm going too deep in with this lot. With talk about all the people that talk about, like I said, I explore the albums. But let's get on to the last one on the list before we get on to that one, which is Tony, who has a band called T55. Never heard of him. But did photography for Amorphis, of course, for Bodom, Delane, and Sephirum, Val Nazarene, Nightwish, Moon Sorrow, Sentenced, and Thy Serpent, Visions of Atlantis, great band right there. And now let's get on to. Okay, I'm not getting anything, but this one did the mastering. Either way, let's just get on to the songs now, because sometimes these pages load, sometimes they don't. Let's just do a separate thing here, and I can look him up in a bit. But crack. let's crack on with the songs here. So, what do we start off with? What do you get with this? You get 9 tracks overall. Obviously, this is the re-release, but I'm only counting it up to the tracks themselves. So we have the title track, Follow the Reaper. Really, really cool opener to start off this excellent album. I mean, I love this album. It's really, really cool. And with all the great shredding guitar, very melodic sounding keyboards, very melodic sounding as well. Love that added synth to this music, and it works with this type of music, for this type of band. Now but before I get on, no, before I talk about the Yellow Guy, let's get on to the next song, which is Bodom After Midnight, of course, which is the band that Alexei formed after this band split up. Again, carrying on from where the first song left off, which then goes into Children of Descendants. Really, really, really just pretty much every song's just so stylish, so cool, and Lexi's vocals just, you know, blaring out over it, but it's all well balanced on all these songs here. And then Every Time I Die, continuing on from where the last three songs left off, as well as Mask of Sanity. And every song's different because the solos might be different. They might all have the sweeps in it, but they all just have their own little flair to them. One of my favorite tracks on it after, and then the next one is also one of my favorites, but track number 6 is Taste of My Scythe. A very, very cool, heavy song right there. And then one of my favorite tracks, along with another track. Well, there's a lot of favorite tracks of mine by this band, but here's one of them, Hate Me, which, if you hear this live, it's just a song that you can just raise your fist to and just scream your freaking lungs out to, and it's just got that power. And then we got Northern Comfort, which is just it's slowly get is getting this is getting closer to the end of the album, and still just bringing that all powerful, you know, the whole powerful, spit, what the pretty much where the first song started off. It's pretty much still carrying on that power. And then that goes into the very last song to close off this excellent, excellent album, Kissing the Shadows, which just ends this album on such a high note. And wow, just wow. But now let's get on to the guy I couldn't look up anything else that he did mastering for, and that is Micah, who's done stuff for, of course, Children of Bodom, and who else has he done stuff for? Eighth and Aimer, just looked him up here, and Eighth and Aimer is a band that I actually played a festival with last year up in Yorkshire called Warhorns, and these guys are called symphonic melodic death metal from France. So did mastering for them as well. Like I said, I want to mention Bodom here. Alcest. Who else? More people know Amorphis. Man, this is a long list. Because usually I say all the bands name, all the people did like mastering and calling that before I get onto the songs, but obviously the page was taking too long to load, so I thought let's crack on with the songs first. Avantasia did mastering for who else? Battle Beast, Beast in Black, Before the Dawn, Beherit, another old school Finnish black metal band right there. Bodom After Midnight was did their EP Paint the Sky with Blood. Yeah, this list is going on. This is quite a few names I don't know. Jordan Bodom, obviously I do know because I'm talking about them right here. Um, who else? Uh, December Moon. Yeah, I know them. Delane, Demigod. Um, who else have we got here? Diablo, as well as Dragon Force, Dragon Heart. Um, Man, this is a long list. Egg Guy, Elvati, and Sephirum, Equilibrium. Awesome, awesome band right there. Man, what? Vintrol, another excellent Finnish band right there. Love them. Finnish folk metal, absolutely brilliant. Forest of Shadows, Forgotten Tomb, excellent black metal from Italy. Very atmospheric stuff. If you know the banders, you know their style of music. Yeah, this list is just going on and on and on. Impaled Nazarene, who I've spoken about earlier in this video. And yeah, Lordy, of course, I mentioned them earlier. And Moon Sorrow, Moon Spell. Yeah, there's a lot of bands there that he's done stuff for. Terraces, who haven't heard anything from him. It's like he vanished off the face of the earth all of a sudden. Visions of Atlantis, and yeah, done a lot of stuff. But yeah, back to the album. Every song on here just has their own little flair, but they all continue from where the last song left off. And hang on, let me just get a bit of water because my throat's getting sore. Well, a bit hoarse. So there you go. But yeah, if you're not into that sort of that the more melodic sound of metal, you're not into your melodic death metal, you're not into your power metal, you're not going to enjoy something like Children of Bodom or any bands like them. If you're more into your death metal, which I'm more into my death metal, my doom metal, and my black metal, thrash metal, but then I do enjoy stuff like this as well. And if that is your thing, then this is a band for you. If you want to know who Children of Bodom is, then you most likely have all their albums already. And if you haven't heard this album in a while, then give it a good spin, depending on what format you have it on. So if you have it on CD, stick it in your CD player, or if you have it on vinyl, give it a nice spin on your vinyl player. And I'm not sure if this ever got released on cassette, which I'm gonna quickly look up now. Yes, it was released on cassette. So if you go on cassette, pop back in your cassette player, or if you like to go on your walk, but you have a Walkman instead of using the usual streaming platforms that everyone uses now, and stick it in your Walkman and just play that album on your walk. It's just got everything that people who love melodic death metal and those who love power metal as well. So if you like melodic death metal, you're gonna like it. If you like power metal, you'll find something you like about it. Because like I said, it's melodic death power metal, and the music is just so heavy and melodic at the same time. It's just an excellent piece of metal right here. And like I said, I saw these guys in 2010 the first time, and yeah, at Bloodstock, and then I saw them again when they played Bristol. And I don't think I saw them on any tours with other bands before that. No, wait, that's a lie. I saw them on tour with Sabaton at the O2 here in Bristol, and that was an excellent show. So, if anyone's not too familiar with Children of Bodom, then I highly recommend that you do start out with whichever album you come across first, and start out with that one. Unless this is the first one that you come across, then you got a excellent album to start off with. Because obviously the last album they released was Hexed in 2019. Because before that was I Worship Chaos. because Hex was the last one before they called it a day. Because the last film released under that name, which was last year, of course, a chapter called Children of Bodom, the final show in Helsinki Ice Hall 2019. But yeah, this album here just really, really, really cool, really solid stuff. And of course, my overall conclusion of the overall album. So heavy, it's melodic, it's well executed, everything blends so well together. The vocals, all of the guitars and bass, all the guitars, the bass, and the drums, all and keyboards, all have been mixed well together. Very well balanced songs. And most importantly, that word I always say with every album that I have covered on this series so far, it's a timeless masterpiece. This album will be 24 years old tomorrow. So, well, then when, like I said, by the time you watch this video, it will be the 30th of October. So this album will be 24 once this video is out. So, once again, I have for you, Children of Bodom and their 2000 album, Follow the Reaper. So, Children of Bodom, the third album, Follow the Reaper. Not heard it yet. Do so because it is just like I said, a timeless masterpiece, and well done to everyone that performed on this album, that recorded it, mixed it, everything. And of course, Alexi, of course, no longer here, but he left behind some excellent music like this. So, one more time, I know I said it already, but one more time, Children of Bodom and Follow the Reaper. That's it for that episode of My Metal Vaults. Like I mentioned, with albums released in the 2000s, there's going to be a lot more to be released, more to be talked about, because there's still a lot more here. And of course, I got 3 more on this page to do before I start the next page. But hopefully, I'm hoping to get to at least 100 videos for this series. And don't worry, my collection update, it will be coming soon, but I'll talk about that more in later videos. But because I've got a lot of stuff, I need to remember what I actually got, so then I can put more in a collection video. But in terms of albums like this, let's talk about like albums that mix two genres together, like you would never think would mix well together. So death metal and power metal. Well, it's melodic death. Well, yeah, it's melodic death metal and power metal. If it was full-fledged death metal, then and power metal, I don't know how that would work. But melodic death metal and power metal both have that. Well, that word melodic, that melodic feel. So put those two together, you can make something sound just sound excellent and just make something right there. But as well as this album here being melodic, it's also very symphonic as well because of the keyboards. And obviously, there's a lot of bands that I do listen to that have keyboards and not necessarily power metal or melodic death metal. Some are doom metal. The next band I'll be talking about, well, when I say the first death metal band to have keyboards, you will know who I'm on about straight away. So that will be the next episode. So once again, that's it for me for this episode of My Metal Vault. If you enjoyed this video, enjoyed my content overall, don't forget to like this video, share it around, comment down below what was your first introduction to Children of Bodom, what was the first album, when did you first see them? And if you were to pick like your top 5 favorite songs by Children of Bodom, or even top 10, what are your favorites? What are your favorites? And most importantly, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already to keep up to date with everything that is happening here on my channel. Sorry it took so long to do another episode. Of course, been busy with work and did a gig, which I'm looking at the set list for the bands that played there. My band being the first one on, so I was busy with that, like learning, getting all the songs down with with the rest of the band. But don't worry, more My Metal Vault episodes. The collection updates coming. Metal Underground releases will be coming back soon. Just got to look at all the albums that I consider underground, and you might consider underground as well. And of course, my favorite death metal albums. I might do a favorite black metal, favorite thrash metal video, like albums video at some point as well. So, thank you very much for tuning in. I've been Jacob Jake's Metal Chat. Keep that banner of metal well and truly high. And I will see you all again in another episode of my Metal Vault.